Okay, great. So, GODOX XPRO 1 trigger. By the way, I have 4 GODOX speedlights now. These are all 685 units and also the external power pack that actually feeds these. And I know that, of course, the XPRO 2 will fire any of the GODOX speedlights in both TTL and HSS for flash photography, whether that is a Nikon 685 unit. It doesn't have to be a 685 unit. I don't know the list of all the compatible flashes, but also like the 685 Fujifilm speedlights, which I also happen to have. I know a lot of people were waiting for the XPRO 2. Of course, it's not available yet for Fuji except through overseas. The United States will have it here in the next month or so. I know it's available on Amazon.com right now. Everybody thought, well, it'd be a lot easier to use than the older trigger, and it'll have a much better profile. The answer to that is not really. I don't know if you noticed, but, whoops, almost dropped it there. Got a couple of these, by the way. I love the fact, which is really important for triggering studio strobes for hypersync flash photography. I actually have a top hot shoe here with the fire command that I actually stick a miniature trigger on for my studio strobes, and I do not have that option here at all. But they're not actually, the new XPRO 2 is not any smaller, and if you actually stick it, and I posted the shot of this on my camera on Instagram, and in all honesty, if you actually profile them both as they actually sit in the hot shoe, the older one, which everybody thought was big, and the XPRO 2 would be, the new XPRO trigger would be smaller. It's actually more obtrusive, and it's actually slightly heavier. Yeah, you see? This is profile here. Profile here. What they should have made it look like, and it is an awesome trigger. I'm not actually, well, I'm about to trash it a little bit. You might not want to tune in for the rest of this video towards the end where I start to cuss. This is a Nissan's little trigger unit, which it actually should have been profiled off of. Let's check the profile off of both these. A little Nissan trigger, and here's the GODOX unit. Now this one obviously does have more capabilities. It takes 2 AA batteries as opposed to 2 AAA batteries. They should have actually come out with a trigger this size, and you know, for the capabilities for setting HSS and TTL functionality, this is all you needed. I know there are some more advanced settings in this, and this of course can be updated. That's where I'm about to start cussing. One thing that actually does work beautifully on this, it does not work at all on any of the Nissan speedlights for Fujifilm specifically, much less the trigger, is the crosshatch for AF assist. They actually have it placed right here. On the older unit, it's actually a large window right here. It works beautifully on the old unit and the new unit. The new unit actually has a zoom function for those of you who have eyesight issues. Functionality, capability on this for customization is certainly #1. So I'll give them kudos to that. They don't need half of the functionality that actually exists in this unit. I've been all through it and actually tested it fully. It does work for TTL HS command on the Fujifilm speedlights, and also I've got, this is an Nikon one, the TT685N. There is an issue. There's a USB-C connector, and of course the speedlights have USB micro connectors for updating the firmware. Unfortunately, the GODOX firmware G1, which was required for all speedlights and strobe updating, as well as a G2 software, which was required for updating their trigger systems, is only PC compatible. Now I can install a VirtualBox on. It takes up about 4 gigs of space to be able to do that as a workaround on my Mac. But here's a question: GODOX has actually turned into quite a large company. How do I say this without cussing? I'm gonna spell it A-Z-Z, and I'm gonna say it that way. Just GODOX, you're an a-hole. You're an a-hole for only having PC compatible software for updating the firmware. All of these speedlights, all of my speedlights, even though I just got this one for the Nikon, they already require firmware update. Fine. GODOX, hire some zit-faced asshole teenager to sit down. The program, by the way, for updating firmware is extremely small and simplex. It is a tiny-ass little program. GODOX, hire some zit-faced little scumbag teenager, Give them $500 and a stack of nudie magazines and write a damn program to let Mac GODOX, did you realize that 9 out of 10, literally, that's the estimation, 9 out of 10 photographers are Mac users. Maybe not exclusively Mac users, but 9 out of 10. GODOX, what the hell are you thinking? What, for Christ's sakes, are you smoking? PC only compatible for... I whipped out my old Windows 7... And by the way, I've got 8 computers. I used to be tech support for Mac on Apple. I'm #1 person in the world for tech support on the MacBook Air. I still have articles. I'm no idiot when it comes to using computers, be it hardware or software. I whipped out my old Windows 7 laptop. Blew the dust off of it since I don't use Windows anymore because it's useless. I mean, I hate Windows. And here's a fact. I downloaded all the software, went to install it, and it said I needed a driver. I'm not able to hook this up because I don't have any USB-C cables, which I easily could have gone out and bought one. Using the micro USB connectors to update my speedlights. When you plug them in, it's asking for a driver to recognize the speedlights. And not only could I not get it, there's no information other than to mention that it needs one on GODOX's. GODOX's information and support page is absolutely effing horrible. Effing horrible. Their support is effing horrible. I'm actually recommended the GODOX speedlights to people now as Young Nuo is junk. I don't care who you are, I would never recommend, and I've stated that since day one, Young Nuo stuff is just crap. It just doesn't last very long. Every professional photographer out there that uses, and I'm the guy with speedlights. I got nearly 50 speedlights. I've owned more speedlights than anybody you'll ever meet. I know Young Nuo is junk. I've told people to stay away from Chinese junk, and of course that's a generalization. GODOX stuff is Chinese, and now even Nikon speedlights. SP5000. Now Nikon has moved from Japan manufacturer of their speedlights like the SP900 and 910, and they have their overpriced, stinking-ass speedlight, really overpriced, made in China. So yeah, I recommend the GODOX speedlights. I've actually thoroughly enjoyed using it. The trigger, the XPRO trigger, I mean, even though I think it's wonderful, especially the autofocus assist for low light situations, the autofocus assist even down here, it's like, oh, that can't be very good. It's actually, I found it to be, during a lot of really dark settings, to be really, really good. I thought, well, the window's smaller on this for AF assist than it is on this, but the actual AF assist beacon is the same, even though the window's smaller, so it works perfectly. This is actually not only less obtrusive than the old trigger, I profile them the same way, it's actually more obtrusive, and it's heavier. People complained about the dials and the buttons on the old trigger. Well, once you have it set, you don't touch the damn buttons, so that was a BS. That's a pile of BS. I know this has more functionality in it, and that is absolutely correct. You stuck a stinking USB-C connector on the side of it. Most people don't have USB-C cables, which fine, I'll order one for $4. For Christ's sakes, what the F are you thinking? PC compatible only firmware application and EXE executable program for PC only? Are you stupid? And even once I whipped out the PC, I said I'm no shabby idiot. Far, far from it. When it comes to computers, far from it. It's like, oh great, I whipped out this crappy old PC computer, hooked it up. Oh well, it needs a driver. Yeah, it needs to recognize the speedlight. Because when you actually plug in, it's just like any other sort of external hardware. It needs to be able to recognize. I couldn't find it anywhere. No information on if GODOX was well. If you have an issue with your computer having connectivity problems with your speedlight, not to mention installing the firmware, which is no big deal. You know, I had the application up and running. I was ready to install and update the firmware. That's not on GODOX's website. The hell are you thinking? They literally could give some zit-faced little scumbag $1,000 to write a DMG Mac program. I have another photographer buddy of mine. He said the same. I've actually had 2 people like, oh my god, I love the GODOX. What the hell are they thinking? I don't use a stinking PC anymore. I can't update the firmware on my goddamn GODOX units because it's PC only. So GODOX, what the F? WTF? Damn it. WTF. You're a big multi-million-dollar company. Wake the F up and write an executable program for Mac users, which is 9 out of 10 photographers are Mac users. It's really stupid. It's just really, really stupid. Really stupid. That is as stupid as someone trying to sell spandex Speedo bikinis to Inuit people up in Upper Alaska. It's like, I'm not having. It's like, yeah, because it's cold up here. GODOX is trying to, update your firmware with this PC executable. 9 out of 10 photographers are Mac users. Idiots. Other than that, actually, I think the XPRO 2 trigger is great. It's definitely not any smaller. Is it any easier to use? Nah, it is a little bit, but not really. It's missing the hot shoe, which is a great feature. Which I assume these are going to be phased out, which is why I bought another one. So, other than that, it is a good trigger. You didn't have to make it so large. Hey, GODOX, you see this Nissan trigger? Take a look. You see the difference there? This is what it should have been. It could have been just 2 AAAs. It didn't have to be any bigger than this. Nissan could make this. Why couldn't you make this, GODOX? Why? Why? There you go. Here's my review of the new XPRO 2 trigger. I keep saying XPRO 2. I keep thinking of Fujifilm, so I keep saying XPRO 2. I meant XPRO trigger. There we go. GODOX. There you go. That should be the motto. It should be for the motto for GODOX. GODOX's company motto should be, at least it's not a crappy young Nuo. That's what their company logo should be. When you can't afford a real Nikon speedlight, and you don't want a crappy young Nuo, GODOX! That's a pretty good one. That's not only good, it's accurate. It's exactly what GODOX is. Yeah, expensive, overpriced, goddamn Nikon speedlight. Crappy young Nuo speedlights which don't live very long. Right in the middle, GODOX! That's what GODOX is. It's exactly what GODOX is. Nailed it!